Hello, my name is Jim Dice, and along with my wife Dawn, we're the owners here at Twin Oaks Home Care. I want to welcome you to the mandatory staff meeting, April 2016. The first thing we're going to go over is policy review, and it's important because we have some employees that are watching this. They've been here for over 10 years out of the 16 years that we've been doing this, and there are some that, it's their first week here at our company, so we just need to make sure that everyone understands the policies that we all have to follow. We have to have everyone on the same page. There are right ways and wrong ways to do things around here. These are the most important ones. Surely there's a lot more. I have a policy book that's almost 1,000 pages long, but we're just going to cover A through G, the most important ones here that we deal with on a very frequent basis. The first one we cover every year. It's our call-off policy. You're permitted one call-off within your first 90 days that's unexcused. You're also permitted only 2 a year that's unexcused. Most importantly, go ahead and give us that 8-hour notice. If for some reason you're calling off, whether you're sick or your child's sick, you're having a vehicle problem, anything less than that, it makes it very difficult for us to cover the shift. And our goal has always been to be very dependable to our clients and to their families. It's hard to do that if you're not dependable to us when you're calling off. Make sure you get that written excuse into our office within 3 business days. And what we've had happen lately is employees will take a photo on their phone and they'll go ahead and just send it over to us, either email or text message. That way we'll have it here, we'll print it off, we'll put it in your folder, and it doesn't count against you. So that's the most important thing, is to make sure that you're giving us the notice and that you're getting us the slip so it doesn't count against you. Next one is our special requests. We made it through winter. It wasn't too bad. We had one weekend where we had to transport employees to work to very vulnerable patients, and we had to take food to some patients that were vulnerable. We got about 3 foot of snow one weekend, but the rest of the winter it wasn't too bad. But summer's coming, and people are going to want to have some time off to get out of town. We understand that. Make sure that you're using your special requests. We need a 14-day notice for that. Anything less than that, I can't guarantee it. If you're going to take one continuous vacation, you're allowed a 7-day period of time off, like Sunday to Saturday or Saturday to Friday. And what we do is we grant those. Those have to be approved to the office here, because if we have a 24-hour case and we only have 5 or 6 employees that are in there, I can't have 2 people off the same week. That would be too difficult to cover. So we would just let 1 employee per household off in that type of a situation. Letter C. When we have to speak, communication is very important, back and forth from the office to the employees. We have to have a call back within a timely manner. What we'll do is we'll call, we'll leave you a voicemail, we'll leave a message on an answer machine, we'll even shoot you a text. But please get back to us. If we're trying to cover a shift, or if we have a problem in the home and we're trying to investigate, don't make us wait longer than an hour or 2 just to touch base with us. Whether you can help us or you can't help us, that still lets us know if we have to keep looking or keep trying to find the answer somewhere else. Communication is still an important priority here at Twin Oaks Home Care. And we are only as good as we communicate. Letter D. If there's a client on the floor, this hasn't changed. We've had this policy in effect for at least 3 years now. We are not permitted to pick a patient up off the floor. If you ever do pick a patient up off the floor, that's an automatic $200 fine. No questions asked. There's too many things that can go wrong. You can hurt yourself or you can hurt the patient. And we've had it happen in the past, so I want to eliminate that 100%. If you walk in, there's a patient on the floor, you get a hold of the office, you get a hold of the ambulance, or you get a hold of the family. I don't care who else picks the patient up, but we are not permitted to. A lot of times the family doesn't want us to call 911. That's fine, and they have a couple grandsons, and they'll get their grandsons over there and they'll get them up off the floor. I'm okay with that as long as that's not us doing it. Letter G, incident reporting. Understand that anything that's abnormal in a patient's house is considered an incident, whether it's related to the patient or related to the employee, including change in the patient's condition. And then once that comes into our office, depending upon the severity of it, we may have to follow up with Adult Protective Services, CYS, or even the Office of Long-Term Living if it's one of the waiver clients or options clients and their care is being provided out of Harrisburg under their waiver programs. So just make sure that when there are changes and there are problems in a patient's home that you are bringing that to our attention. It'll get documented here. Everything that gets documented gets forwarded to my desk. If I need to follow up on it personally, I will do that. I'll have one of my office managers here or a supervisor out in the field follow up on it as well. Letter E, our cell phone policy. Previously it was different. Right now, for the last about 2 years, cell phones must be turned off when you're in a patient's home. I would have to say this is still the biggest complaint that comes in from patients, is that employees will go into their house, they're to be there, they're to be working, and they're sitting there on their cell phone either texting or playing a game or surfing the internet. We're not permitted to do that. That's against our policy. The patients and families know it's against our policy. And if that happens, the patient's going to call in here and they're going to say, you know what, don't send that employee back to my house. And then you're going to lose hours. So you're only hurting yourself if you do that. If we need to get a hold of you, we'll call the patient's house. We don't always have to call your cell phone. You're supposed to be there. You're going to be, from 9 to 1, you're going to be at a house. You're already scheduled there. We already know you've clocked in. And if we need to get a hold of you, we'll go ahead and call the patient's house to talk to you. Next we have employee schedules, letter F. Do not call us for your schedule on Wednesday. You are permitted to call on Thursday for your schedules. Our office hours are 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. What I can't have is we're trying to call 100 people on Wednesday to give them their schedule. Unless a secretary tells you to call them back right away, don't call back for your schedule until Thursday. That hasn't been as much an issue as it has been in the past. Now that we have the ClearCare in effect, I know some of you are receiving email schedules and text message schedules on a nightly basis, but we still have to call employees with their schedule for now. Letter G, light housekeeping. Next is safety. Actually, that's like number 2 on the list of importance, because good housekeeping in a home is closely related to the safety that we're providing to the patients in the home. Decreasing their bacteria levels, making sure there's nothing there that they're going to be tripping or falling over. It's going to prevent that. It's very important. Know what you're allowed to do and what you're not allowed to do. You're not allowed to stand on anything to clean. You are not permitted to get on your hands and knees and clean. And you are not permitted to move any heavy furniture. We don't do walls, ceilings. You can do the inside of a window if you don't have to stand on anything to clean it. But light housekeeping is important. I would say 90% of what we do, and you know this if you've been with us for a while, is housekeeping. They're older, they're weaker, their balance isn't as good, their endurance isn't as good, so they need someone to help them with their housework. We normally vacuum on Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, dust on Tuesday, Thursday, Saturdays. We do laundry when it's there's enough there to do a load. Changing bed linens every Monday, making the bed every day, helping the patient get washed up, and they're all on different schedules on that. Some are daily, some are every other day, some are once a week, which is okay. But don't forget the housekeeping. When you're there in the house, look around, see what needs to be done. Are the garbage cans full? If they are, make sure that you're emptying them. Letter H, we got something that's new. We started this January 1st of this year. This is the ClearCare software that we've been using. That's where you're clocking in and clocking out at the patient's home. Now we can have that set up to the patient's cell phone. We can have it set up to their home phone. but they have to be able to, and we've already said to them on a mission, and we sent out a letter, they have to allow you to use their phone in order for you to be able to clock in and out correctly. The phone number is listed here for ClearCare, 844-229-8905. Save that, plug it in. We've got it on all the red folders in the home. You're going to use it every day that you go to work. Patients are not permitted to clock you in and out, and if they're going to schedule you, you're going to get a schedule. You can't text or email back to that because it doesn't go to the Twin Oaks phone. If there's a problem whenever you receive your schedule via text or email, you have to pick up the phone. You have to actually call and talk to someone here at the office. The other thing, under ClearCare, you only have a certain window to clock in. If your shift is 9 to 1, then you're only permitted to clock in between 8:55 up until 9 o'clock. If you're clocking in at 8:50 to 8:54, it's not going to work. And if you're going to clock in at 9:01, it's not going to work. You only have that 5-minute window. Same thing when you're clocking out. You have a 5-minute window before your shift to clock out. If you clock in and out incorrectly, you're going to get a phone call from us. And you should get it every time that you clock in and out incorrectly. And the reason you're going to get a phone call is because we have to double check to make sure that you are there, or that you did leave at the appropriate time, and to let you know that you didn't do it correctly. Whatever you're doing, however you've done it incorrectly, you need to change it. You need to correct it so that it doesn't continue to happen. I would say 95% of the time employees are clocking in and out correctly. We still have that 5% where they're not doing it correctly, and those are the ones that are getting phone calls. If you're clocking in and out correctly, you're not getting a phone call from the office. We're not bothering you. That's not our goal. Letter G, transporting clients. We are not permitted to transport any VA clients. We are permitted to transport private pay options and waiver clients, but that has to be approved through our office. And if you're at a patient's house and you're going to be transporting them to a doctor's office or to a grocery store, our office should know that ahead of time. We should be letting you know that before you go there for that shift. Also, before you leave the house, you have to call us and let us know that you're going to be leaving. You're taking them to the grocery store, to the doctor. And then when you get back, you have to call us so we know you're off the road and you're safe. If the patient sends you to the store and they don't go with you, that's fine also. We're allowed to do that. Our policy is 1 day a week we're allowed to grocery shop. It has to be the closest store. But what I'm having a problem with is people are forgetting to call the office to say, hey, I'm running to the store for Mr. So-and-so. Yes, we're allowed to do that, but yes, we still have to know if you're going to the store. So don't forget to call us when you're leaving and when you're coming back from those appointments or store runs. Number 2 on the list, we've got home care safety. Again, that is the number 1 priority for all clients and for all employees. And I have to commend Twin Oaks Home Care as a whole, because for the last 2 years we've won a safety award. 2 years ago we won the Most Improved Safety Award for companies in Pennsylvania, and just this past fall we won the award for the safest company in Pennsylvania. So I believe we're on the right path. We're doing it correctly. It's our job to stay on the right path and to do things safely, not just for the clients but for the employees as well. First thing on the list, we've got A, B, C, and D. A is hand washing. That prevents the spread of bacteria. Everyone knows that. That's like number 1 as far as safety goes on the list. You want to wash your hands when you get there. You're going to wash them before you leave. If you help the patient toilet or you go to the bathroom, you're going to wash your hands after that. If you're going to make them a meal, you wash your hands before the meal. And if you're going to help them with wound care, you want to wash your hands before, like if they have a cut on their arm, you're going to wash your hands before you help them change their Band-Aid and their Neosporin, because you don't want to put any bacteria in there. And then after you change it, you want to wash your hands so you don't take any of that bacteria with you. Next we have letter B, principles of body mechanics. If we do things correctly, we reduce the chance of us getting hurt in the home. That's what body mechanics is all about. The position of your body, or the correct way to move something or lift something without getting an injury. We're going to carry heavy objects close to our body, like a basket of laundry if we have to take it to the washer and dryer. We're going to stand erect. We're not going to be bent over whenever we're working. If we have to bend over to pick something up, we're going to bend at our knees and not at our back. That's going to prevent back strain and chronic back injuries. We're going to avoid lifting things from the floor. So it's better if you're unloading stuff from the grocery store, you bring it into the house, you set it on the table or on the kitchen counter. You don't set it on the floor. That's going to prevent back wear and tear and strain. If you're going to push something, you push it near the center. Make sure that your shoulders are up at all times. And if we're helping a patient that's bedfast, we're not going to pull them from the side. We're actually going to get at the head of the bed. We're going to elevate the feet, have the head lowered, and when we pull them, there should be a draw sheet under them. We're going to pull them toward us, and we're going to pull them downhill. It's 100 times easier doing it that way than trying to stand on the side and pulling them up in bed. Letter C, fire and electrical. When you're in a patient's home, be looking around for any frayed wires, for any receptacles that are, have some burn marks around them, something that sparks whenever you're plugging it in or unplugging it. If there's too many things plugged in to a receptacle, you want to be looking for that as well. Any of those issues that you come across, let us know. I will make a visit out to the house. I do look at those things on admission, but a lot of times I'm not in the whole house. I'm only in the living room, kitchen, bathroom, bedroom. They may have extra bedrooms that may have issues or problems that you may notice. Please call that in. And then letter D, falls. We need to be adamant that we keep our patients off the floor. If they're supposed to be using a cane, then I want them using the cane, and we need to remind them to use the cane and encourage them to use the cane. Whether it's that or a walker or a wheelchair, make sure it's the right equipment, and make sure that if you're there that you are assisting them. If someone does fall while you're assisting them, it's our goal to prevent further injury. We would just ease them to the floor. And we've had that happen a couple of times over the past year. A person stumbles, we ease them to the floor. We go ahead, we get a hold of the family, or we get a hold of an ambulance, they get them up, everything's fine. We prevented them from breaking their neck, from breaking bones in their hips, their arms and shoulders, prevented them from hitting their head. So there's a lot of things we can do preventatively to help keep them at home, and that's our goal. Number 3, call in the office. Everyone knows what the office number is, 724-438-1936. That's the only number that anyone should ever call to reach this office. That's the line that we transfer after hours. So if you call any of the other backdoor numbers, you're never going to get a hold of anyone. Make sure you're only calling that number that is considered line 1. Number 4, every year we have to cover this. It's very important that you understand that there is no sexual harassment permitted at Twin Oaks Home Care. There have been times in the homes where patients have sexually harassed our employees. I've gotten a hold of the family members for them to deal with it. I've went to the house and I've dealt with it. We've pulled certain employees from homes because they're younger employees, and they seem to be victimized more by the elderly gentleman patient. Sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. And if we try all those things and none of them work, then the patient gets a discharge notice in the mail. That's not something that we will allow to continue. If it happens where patients are inappropriately touching you, if they're making vulgar, rude comments to you, make sure that we know about that, because if we don't know there's an issue, we can't correct it. I'm going to go ahead and read that paragraph because it's important, not just for patients, but from employee to employee. I mean, we have male employees, we have female employees. So this could happen on an employee level, not just a client level. No form of sexual harassment is tolerated by Twin Oaks Home Care. This includes physical and verbal sexual harassment, as well as sexual innuendos and tasteless or immoral jokes from employees, clients, or their family members. Twin Oaks will follow the disciplinary process if an employee is involved in an incident. Depending on the severity of the infraction, termination may be immediate. Disciplinary action will be determined by Twin Oaks Home Care management. And number 5, we do still have our website. It is up and running. I try not to put too much information on there. I try to handle everything here in the staff meetings. One of the things that I need you to be aware of is that on our website, and if you have any friends or if you know anyone that's looking for a job to help us to continue to grow and to stay dependable, please refer them to twinoakshomecare.com. They can go there, they can fill out an application right there online, and they can submit it. It gets emailed directly to our office here. We print it out the next day when we come in. Make sure that if you do refer someone, that they put your name down as a referral, because if you're still working with us and they're working for us, we bring them on board. After the 6-month period of time, you will get that $100 employee incentive referral bonus. And that's probably the biggest thing, that we have to deal with is for us to continue to grow, we have to have dependable people. And people that I don't know, and yes, I'm handing out cards all the time in the community, trying to get more employees. But what has helped us so much over the initial, first 5 years and over the 16 years at a whole, is that the employees have actually went out and they've handed out some cards in the public, and they've said, hey, if you're looking for a job, give Twin Oaks Home Care a call. Or if you have any friends that are looking for a job, is what I like to say to people, please have them give us a call. Number 6, employee schedules. Again, we mentioned that up there in the top policy review, but don't call our office on Wednesday unless you're asked to do so. Call on Thursday. Sorry, that was a repeat. And number 7, our employee 2016 pay calendar. And what we've had to do is make sure that it doesn't hit 3 times in 1 month during a pay period. So some of those dates have been adjusted. Normally it's the 15th and the last day of the month. But if the last day of the month there's a holiday, we don't want to push it to the following month, because that means an employee would actually get 3 pays in 1 month. So we're doing our best, and if we have to pay you a little bit early, if that's a situation, Dawn's in charge of that, and she's keeping an eye on that, and you will get paid a little bit early. It only happens once or twice a year. And then last is our insurance review. Twin Oaks Home Care still offers the Aflac insurance to all of its employees. It's at a very, very minimal discounted rate. My wife and I have it. We have it for our family. It's a medical reimbursement plan where if you do have to go to the doctor or to the hospital, it actually reimburses you. The amount per paycheck is very minimal. It's a couple dollars compared to those full hospitalization coverages that are out there that are $400 a month. Some of those are just unreachable whenever they take almost all of your whole paycheck. But we did review everything that's out there. We looked far and wide to see what would help our employees the most, and what we came up with was the Aflac insurance program. Don't forget about the Federal Healthcare Exchange. I believe that's open every fall. If you want to get into it now, I believe it's too late, but it'll come up again in the fall. So thank you. I appreciate your time. Dawn and I appreciate everything that you do with us. We believe that we have to work as a team in order to provide the best care to our patients that we can. And congratulations on the 2015 Safest Company in Pennsylvania. So keep up the good work. Thank you and have a good day.